Alright, this will be the first video of maybe many that will deal with what I'm calling Everquest Remake or Everquest 1.5, and today we're going to talk about revamping the travel system. Most of us that play Everquest have probably come to the realization that the travel system is very inefficient, very time consuming, and completely just not necessary when we have TLPs that can change your rule set. Maybe the big time sink was like a cool thing and a cool way to explore the game back in 1999 when Everquest came out. However,
ain't nobody got time for that.
There's so many better travel systems in games currently, and there's no reason why they couldn't implement a better travel system into EverQuest. The effects of removing the time sink would actually help improve the game. It would probably stop a lot of new players from quitting, because let's face it, if you don't know which zones connect to which zones, how to get there in somewhat reasonable manner without dying, then that can be very frustrating for a lot of people.
Coming South by Southwest Fest, all South Northeast, East Southwest, North Northwest, and West Southeast.
Adding a better or enhanced traveling system that I'm going to talk about in a minute would also increase the number of players that actually get out and explore or spend time in other zones.
Slow adventure.
Fast travel.
Where would you like to go?
Eastwatch.
Right now, some of the harder to reach areas, even with druid ports and run speeds from Bard, it still takes too long to get to some of these places, and people without those mechanisms of travel or having to pay to get out to places is just not feasible. So let's just say there are a lot of zones and a lot of areas that are left pretty much unexplored and unused because they're simply not worth traveling to. And that could be alleviated by some of the revamps that I'm going to talk about. So let's start with the first suggestion I have, and that is auto-porting. The way that I vision auto-porting is that you should be able to pull up your map of EverQuest, and you should have probably a way to just click the zone, and it will just automatically take you to a point in the zone, whether that be a druid ring or some safe spot or some evacuation point in the zone. You should pretty much be able to port wherever you want, whenever you want, by clicking on the zone. And if they really want to add time sinks to travel, they could do something where you can only do it every 2 minutes or 5 minutes or something kind of like similar to how they have when you switch picks in the game already, where you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can travel again. But this would allow quick travel to certain areas or closer to certain areas, and not to take away from druids or wizards. They could enhance them in some ways, or they could let druids and wizards still teleport, say, to multiple points in the zone where a normal player can only teleport to a single point in the zone. That would expedite the process. Could do something cool where there's quest lines or faction vendors that could teach the ability to travel to like dungeons like Chardock or City of Mist or Cebalus, things like that, where it has to either be through increasing your faction and buying some type of scroll or some type of quest line so you could access to waypoints that are closer, so that you could teleport maybe into the entrance of Cebalus, or you could teleport right outside. In fact, that should be something that is already included in dungeons like that. When you get the key to, say, Cebalus, that should just be like an auto port through that area. And then let's refer to these as waypoints, kind of similar to like waypoints in Diablo, but in Diablo you kind of have to explore or find the waypoints, then they become active. You would have a basic set that's active, and then some that could be taught or explored or discovered through things like faction or quest lines. To keep the game rolling and allow people to explore backwards, what we would do is waypoints would get unlocked kind of like a auto grant, or say 2 expansions have gone by, then all the waypoints are unlocked for 2 expansions ago. And the lore of this could be, to satisfy those that like lore, is that Druid's Guild or Wizard's Guild has been traveling for so long and they're so experienced, they're able to create waygates which allowed common people to travel through them. And there's already examples of this type of stuff already in the game. The whole Planes of Power expansion, so it's kind of like Plane of Knowledge, how they have all those stones that go to a bunch of different areas, and that's kind of nice, but it still doesn't get you to all the spots directly, just kind of gets you close. So they already have it. You can safely run through the Plane of Knowledge and click anywhere, and then they could add more stones, but I think they should just eliminate that altogether so that you're not running around Plane of Knowledge. There's no point in having to run to every headstone to click, except for time sinks, and I don't know why you'd want to add time sinks in 2023. Nobody's into that anymore. Some of the hardcore players, EverQuest players, there's so many other servers, there's so many other emulation servers they can go to experience that original feel in the big time sink. And Planes of Power was one thing that they should have taken it a bit further, because let's face it, you go from Plane of Knowledge to Plane of Tranquility, You can go to any raid zone simply by running there and clicking. You're not in any harm's way. You're not in danger. There's no reason to have new players running across East Corona, West Corona, trying to get in certain places just to get to where they're going. Land of Tranquility takes you right to these raid zones as long as you're flagged and have access to them. So there's no reason not to expand that further. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think revamping the travel system in an Everquest remake or Everquest 1.5, whatever you want to refer to make this game substantially better, attract new players. You know, a lot of people are complaining about not being able to group with others. There's no one on servers, the server's going dead. Well, let's do something to attract new players and make the travel system more appropriate, more what people expect in 2023. They have TLPs, they can change rule sets, they can implement this easy. There's so many ways that they could do this, even if they can't make it so you can load a map and click, which I think that they easily could. It'd just be little highlights on the map that you click to. Even if they got to add more, stones and plane of knowledge, or whatever they got to do. When they had the guild hall, they had basically a translocator inside the guild hall where you'd purchase a stone, hand it back, and then this little waygate or transport, or whatever you want to call it, would just port people down to wherever they're going, and they didn't take that far enough. But I think a system where traveling's easier, where everybody could auto port to at least to the core zones, you could make more points in each zone available by faction vendors or by quest lines, and you can make access to dungeons available by the same quest lines, or even drops within the dungeons. Like say you actually run out to Sebelis and you kill a boss or a rare, and all of a sudden you get a scroll that drops that opens the waypoint for you. That's an acceptable way to do it too. The travel system should be revamped to attract new players so that this game doesn't die. And if you don't want to play on a server like that, then stick to the other TLP servers. But just realize that if you love EverQuest and you want to keep it alive, that things like this and releasing a TLP with these type of rule sets would actually attract new players and keep the game alive longer. That's all I have for you today. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.